Before we get started, does anyone want to get out?
They're in the computer?
This is getting out of hand.
Wow!
Strange things are afoot.
Over your potatoes!
Listen. You smell something?
Hello and welcome to the Clear History Podcast, the show where we find all the crazy stories on the internet and write them down on a piece of paper and talk about them to each other, and you listen to it.
Or don't listen to it. We don't really care. We're still doing it.
I'm your old pal Steve, and with me as always is...
Megan.
And our favorite
episodal
guest, Noodlebag, a.k.a.
The Whirling Dervish.
A.k.a. All Grip, No Slip.
No,
all slip, no grip.
That's it.
And he's always putting the gear in the rear.
Yeah, in the rear with the gear.
In the rear with the gear, and
with the
Master Chief Thief, John.
Yep. All of those things are he's like well known by all of them. Everybody knows me as those.
Well, before we dive
It's
into our different weird things we were looking at on the internet today, I want to real quick here cover a new Mandela effect, and I want to ask you each a question. And John, I'm going to start with you. Looney Tunes.
Okay.
How is tunes spelled, as you remember it, in the logo?
I feel like I'm being swayed by whatever the baby Looney Tunes or whatever, which I'm pretty sure was 2 O's. But I feel like Looney Tunes itself was a UNES.
And Steven?
Double O.
Toons. That's also what I remember. In our current reality, which may or may not be the truth, it's Looney Tunes. Looney Tunes, which I don't remember really many songs. Doesn't make sense.
I really didn't watch a lot of Looney Tunes as a kid, so
You
my
said Fruit
opinion's
Loops
only
didn't have
mildly
double
wrong.
O's, and you're full of shit.
Fruit Loops like when toucans say 'em?
Yeah, dude.
Okay.
Anyways, I'm still convinced I'm in a simulation and nothing of what I'm doing is worth
of
anything
course,
right now.
According
So
to the documentary The Matrix, the world ended in 99, and we're all living in a program.
I live in a world where Looney Tunes is spelled with a U, and I don't like it. So, Steve, what do you have for me today to make me feel like my life is worth living?
I will prove to you that the world is...
That's an ultimatum if I've ever heard one before.
In 1982, Larry Walters lived out his childhood dream. When he was 13 years old, he went to his local Army surplus store and was intrigued by the weather balloons that you could buy there. He thought, wouldn't it be cool to tie a bunch of these together and fly through the air on a lawn chair?
No, Larry Walters, that sounds incredibly dangerous.
It sounds like the plot line of, like, what is that, Up?
Well,
That
no,
Disney movie.
No, you have to have a
Exactly.
miscarriage and die first. And
Oh.
You just took us to a really dark place. I was remembering the good parts, and here I am.
That reminds me when we watched, what was that movie we watched? Skyscraper, and all this sad shit happens at the beginning. I was like,
Dwayne
is this a
The Rock
Pixar movie?
Johnson?
Is this
Yeah.
a Pixar movie?
That's so sad.
Okay, so Larry Walters decides he wants to fly into the air with balloons.
On a lawn chair.
Upstyle.
So 20 years later, he made that exact thing happen.
That's pretty honorable.
That's a long time to have a dream.
Inventory, $109 Sears lawn chair. Fucking creme de la creme.
That's a nice lawn chair.
Hell
dude.
yeah.
Who has ever paid $109 for a lawn chair?
I paid that for like a set.
This is
On
nice.
lawn chairs? Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's
31 gallon
lawn
jugs
chair.
of water, 42 helium-filled weather balloons.
How big is a weather balloon?
Pretty big. A BB pistol, altimeter, CB radio, parachute, life jacket, and an extra pair of glasses, a 35mm camera, a 2-liter bottle of Coke, and some sandwiches.
Oh, fuck, this guy is legit.
He's ready.
He's ready.
The
Okay,
plan-
fun fact real quick. Weather balloons are available in different sizes. Either 3 feet in diameter, 8 feet in
Oh
diameter,
my
or
God.
16 feet in diameter.
I'm assuming he's got the 3-footers.
I was thinking it was 16. That's a pretty...
No, but he's got
goddamn-
42 of them.
Okay, yeah.
I
it's
want a
probably
weather
good.
balloon.
Well, maybe he has the big ones and he's really going overkill.
They're pretty thin, though, so they're pretty easily popped. The plan was to fly from his girlfriend's backyard in Los Angeles to the Mojave Desert to the east. He had a 500-pound rated rope holding him down, and he started to prepare for launch. Started blowing up all the balloons, getting everything tied together. Unexpectedly, the wind picked up and snapped his line. Not only that, but he dropped his glasses when it snapped. No worries, he had his backup pair of glasses. But wait, yes worries, he overestimated the amount of balloons needed, so he kept going higher.
Did he go into space?
And higher into the atmosphere. And here's a little
He
context.
flew right into fucking space.
Here's a little context. I've done 2 static line jumps, which is when you jump out of a airplane and you have a piece of webbing that pulls your chute open, so you don't really free fall more than 5 seconds. You just jump out and then you're in canopy.
Yeah.
Well, so I did that twice, and that was from 5,000 feet, and that's plenty higher. And this guy went 1,600 feet.
1,600?
Yes. 16,000
No,
feet.
16,000.
16,000 feet.
Dude, was he like frozen? Doesn't it get cold up there?
It's 3 miles in the
That's
air.
That's way too high, dude. That's
He meant
way
to
too
go
high.
only 6,000 or 7,000 feet in the air. So up there, the air is thinner. It's much colder. The UV rays are stronger.
So maybe
And
it
worst of
compensated.
all-
Like, it's cold, but he's burning from all the UV rays, so it worked out, right?
Well, it's like when you're on a mountain, you get sunburned, but you're not hot.
Yeah. So how long did it take him to die?
So, worst of all, the
He's still
wind
up there.
acts very
He's still to this
differently.
day.
Like up there, the wind's different, you know. than
Yeah,
down here.
yeah. You don't
So,
have all the land
In a
and
bad
stuff.
way or a good
And the
way?
gr-
As you can assume, he did not stay on course. Nearby airplanes started reporting a small air object.
They're
in the
like, it's
LA
a man with a 42 balloon.
No, yeah, they're like, oh, I don't know what I'm seeing. It appears there's a man on a lawn chair.
$109 lawn chair.
And then they're like,
I've
I
used
don't
that
know.
one
They're like,
before. That's a nice one.
What is your height right now? We're up here at 16,000 feet.
Jesus Christ, dude.
Okay.
What did he think after he got like 300? Did he like?
It's a
what was
bird.
he thinking?
It's a plane. No, wait. It's just some white guy in a lawn chair.
Did he shit his
Why is
pants?
he doing
I think I
this?
shit my pants.
He felt in control the whole time. He's like a
Probably
very confident man.
froze.
Okay, you want
He
to know what the
trusted the
most
balloons.
unbelievable part about this whole thing is? When you said he was at his girlfriend's house.
Yeah.
This man, he's like, hold on, honey. I'm gonna strap up these balloons.
This girl actually
No way.
paid for a lot of this stuff. Like she went into debt paying for some of this shit.
What?
For the weather balloons? They're
for
that
all this stuff.
expensive?
It gets
True.
expensive. The helium's expensive.
Well, he did pick a
That's
$109 lawn chair. He could have picked like a $5 lawn chair, but
You want a
didn't.
$5 lawn chair at 16,000 feet.
Well,
You want the
if I
nice
just
one.
shelled out like $3,000 in weather balloons, possibly.
Well, like overall, yeah.
I would have found a
added
lazy
up.
boy at a garage sale and called it good.
Then at least be
But
comfortable.
don't worry,
Right?
LAX
Pop out the footrest.
LAX already knew that he was there because his buddy on the ground crew, the whole plan was, okay, so he's supposed to be up there for like an hour tied to that rope. And he was supposed to get everything prepared, but, the rope snapped. And the plan was that about a half hour before he launched, they were going to call everybody and be like, hey, just so you know, we're going to be fucking around.
There's a man in the air.
Yeah. So his buddy already called, and as you might imagine, his girlfriend was freaking out about this. Him being in LAX airspace, because, I don't know, a couple planes coming in and out there.
Yeah, just some big boys. Oh, there's
Also,
a
he's
747.
16,000 feet in the air.
Yeah, so Larry started to shoot down his outer balloon. So that's
How
why
did he do that?
That's why he brought his little BB pistol.
Okay.
Was that he was the plan was to shoot him down to go down, and then he could also dump out his jugs of water because he had the 32 gallons. He could dump those out too, but things kind of got out of hand.
Did he do any kind of math to determine how many balloons he needed? Because
so
42 really seems like overkill.
So they said that it was supposed to be 15 pounds per balloon, and then they just put the math together, but then it kind of rounded up, and I don't know.
Yeah, it sounds like they would overshoot that. I mean,
But here's the deal.
did he not run any kind of tests with some kind of test animal
Okay,
a monkey?
just listen
or
to the
a
rest of the
sheep or
story.
something?
Listen to the story so far. He planned, but I don't know how well.
Not so well, clearly.
But so
Foreshadowing.
he shot down 7 before he dropped his BB gun. His plan was to tie it off but he wasn't able to because the rope snapped. But luckily, it seemed to be the perfect amount. So the numbers are kind of fucked up because it says 42, but then it says 32, but then it says the difference was 7, and that sounds like 10 to me, but whatever.
But I'm not a numbers guy.
Somewhere
I'm just
around
gonna
there.
trust it.
But luckily, it seemed to be the perfect amount because he was descending quite nicely. Also, luckily, the local authorities saw that he was on his path to running into some live power lines.
Oh my
Jesus.
God.
So they temporarily turned them off for him.
Well, as long as he
Nice.
doesn't like touch 2 power lines at the same time, he'll be fine.
Yeah, so
Which is probably very unlikely.
I don't know. Do you think he was like? What do you think he was doing that whole time?
he was drinking his Coke.
Probably
and he was, like,
freezing
looking around.
balls, 'cause
No,
it's
he
cold
enjoyed
up
it. Like he was like,
He said it
this
was
is
good?
fucking tight.
He's up.
He's like, this is great. I
Just
can't breathe.
relaxing.
It's really cold. This sunburn is the worst sunburn I've ever gotten.
Yeah,
but I'm
well, I mean,
really
it-
enjoying this.
He was up there for 2 hours in freezing temperatures, 3 miles above the earth. He landed, blacked out for 20 minutes, and woke up to realize that his balloons got tangled in those power lines. He got up, gave his craft, which he named Inspiration 1, to a local neighborhood kid, and walked away
That's
with...
dangerous.
It's dangerous.
And he walked away with nothing but his 2-liter bottle of Coke.
So his girlfriend went into debt over this, and he just gave it to some kid, and he's like, knock her out of the park, kid.
Well, the deed was done. The Federal Aviation Administration wanted...
Is there one?
The FAA.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's them.
They wanted to charge him with something, but they really didn't know how to. Because they're
There's no law against.
technically not against the law. I don't know.
He's not a drone.
Just so you know, I did the math. Currently, it costs about an average of $300 for that size weather balloon. So in current money, that's $12,600. And
That is insane.
in
That's a little much for a thin little thing.
in 1982
Yeah, I'd
money,
make
that
my
is
own.
$4,667.88.
Well, they
So-
might have gotten like a bulk discount.
Right.
Yeah, well, clearly.
Well, and he was at the
Went straight to the factory.
surplus store.
Surplus
They
store.
got the wholesale value.
And you
they
can
got
they'll throw in a police outfit.
He's like a policeman up in the
Look
sky.
at this motherfucker.
I want
Pulling
700
people over.
700 balloons in a police officer's outfit.
Oh, sure, officer.
That's a weird
I
thing to
imagine
ask
you
for.
just lost your police officer's outfit, so we'll just suit you up with a new one. Don't worry. I believe you.
Is that your white van out
I
back?
believe you.
I wouldn't call a police officer a liar, that's for sure. Not me. I'm on the up and up.
What state
A
was
guy
it?
that works at the fucking surplus store is probably not.
Do you want me to pack this all into your white no windows Chevy E350 van?
The guy that works at
The
the
one that says candy here?
you get a job at the surplus store not because you love the army, it's because
You have a
you
surplus
love
of-
things falling off the truck. I'll tell you what.
I was gonna say, you love surplus.
Like, there's a couple things, and I only counted this many, so I mean that's what we got. When you're doing inventory, I don't know. Meanwhile, his fucking basement under his basement is just fully stacked.
Just everything. Police uniforms for days.
I know the world's gonna end.
So many balloons. He's like, when the world ends, I'll have all the weather balloons.
You want a flak jacket? I've got 10.
You want a flak jacket? You need to be bulletproof.
Alright, Larry Walters.
He gave it, and then later that week he won a David Letterman, and they talked about it, and yeah, he's totally fine. 11 years later, he hiked up to a nearby forest and shot himself in the head.
Jesus Christ! Wow, foreshadowing. I was right. He did die in the end.
Wait, and I said that
Holy
I
hell.
needed something to help me get through my life today. So thank
Well, there you go. It could be worse. You could be 60,000 feet in the air.
That's
I mean,
terrible.
once you do it like, once you live like
Yeah,
that,
once
you
you
know,
get
what's
there,
after
you're
that?
never getting back.
What's
dude.
after that?
He
you know?
reached the pinnacle, literally, of the earth. So.
Of his life.
With that, we'll go to a sponsor break.
Spread, spread, spread! This episode is sponsored by SpreadOfTheMonthClub.com. Jams, jellies, cheeses, you better believe it. We got the spreads to spin your heads. For a limited time, use offer code SPREADTHESE for your first spread free.
All right.
Well, that was pretty heavy.
What
was
did you
good.
want to share with us today?
Well, so my search started out, and it's looking back, it was probably not a great thing to put on my search history, but it was how to embezzle.
That's gonna be that bad.
how to embezzle money. Not because
Okay,
I
yeah,
want.
that's pretty bad considering that where we work is like a internet-based
Shut up.
commerce
It
company.
reminds me of Metalocalypse when he's like, "Oh, he's embezzling. That's pretty metal."
Yeah,
and
it's
he's like,
metal.
he's embezzling from you. No. And then they find out at the end of the episode that they were embezzling from themselves, and they didn't.
Well, I
realize
heard
it.
like some story. I heard some story about someone.
I
that-
immediately thought Office Space this
You're
morning
right,
when you
yes.
sent it on Google
I
Hangouts.
was like, yes, Michael Bolton. But anyways, I saw something about embezzling. I was like, well, how do you even embezzle stuff? You know,
A little
whatever.
bit
So I was
embezzling.
looking
It's
at
easy. You just take money from someone else.
yes. Well, I was looking up tips
secretly.
Yeah.
on how to
Keep it under
embezzle,
wraps.
and like ultimately the tip is don't be a dumbass and get greedy about it. You won't get caught. That's my tips. But
You
so
just take a little off the top.
right, so I was looking
Are we
at
taking a turn? Is this like now we teach people how to do illegal things podcast?
We can do a little bit of that.
no, I
Just like dip our
nothing
toes
of
in.
what I read was all of it was like don't do this.
One
but
of
I was
these
like I could do
episodes-
this.
It was like don't do this, but if you do this,
One of these episodes will tell our listeners how to get a free Domino's pizza.
that's
Yes.
gonna be a good one. Wait till you guys hear that.
So anyways, I had been searching that, and then later on,
Foreshadowing.
when I was on YouTube watching something else, my recommended videos came up for the largest municipal embezzlement fraud in American history. So of course I had to click on it, because I was like, what does that even mean? Those are a lot of words.
Municipal? I don't know what municipal is.
There's a lot of
Marsupial?
words in that sentence.
Is that like a kangaroo?
Yeah, does it have a pouch?
Yeah,
it keep its
you know
tongue in a
what?
pouch?
It's got deep pouches, I tell you what.
The deepest pouch.
Because we're going to
As long
talk
as everyone
about
pays their taxes.
the largest embezzlement in United States history that you've probably never heard about.
USA.
And it took place in Ronald Reagan's birthplace, which means nothing to me, but it might mean
was it?
something to you.
Somewhere in Texas, USA.
Dixon, Illinois.
Oh, close.
Yeah, Dixon, Illinois. a
Ew,
classic.
there's
I
only
love
two
Dixon.
things I love in this world. That's dicks and Illinois.
Yes. That's the
Is that where
birthplace.
Dixon pencils are made? Just
I don't know.
I have no idea.
Dixon.
I know a lot about pencils. There's Ticonderogas, there's Dixons.
What the fuck are you talking about?
Where's the
There's
number one
number
pencil?
twos, there's HB2s.
So, Dixon pencils, probably not related, but this town had a population of 16,000. Okay, that's a pretty small town.
Yeah, it's
16,000. Interesting.
Sounds
Six-
bigger than the
six-
town I grew up in. So.
Yes.
16,000.
So we're going to talk about this small town and the perpetrator. That's a good word.
Yeah.
Her name is Rita Crundwell,
Crudwell.
and
She
she
sounds like a Hogwarts professor.
yes.
Sounds like a place you don't want water from. A Crudwell.
Ooh, a Crudwell.
She was the treasurer and comptroller for the small town between 1982 and 2012 when she was finally caught. So 20 years she was the treasurer.
That's a good heist.
I want you guys to
That's
guess.
a good heist. It's like Ocean's 15. Like, it's up there.
Like she after a while she just thought that was a part of her job. She forgot that she was in business.
No, she did. She
She's
did.
like,
She's just
Here I
like,
go doing the old 9 to 5.
She goes
Well,
in
it was a
and steals money.
well, first of all, it was a part-time job. Because it was this small town, so it was like a part-time job. She
Oh,
got paid
yeah.
like $80,000 a year for a part-time job being the treasurer. So she already was making
Can't relate.
$80,000 a year as the treasurer.
You know the difference between 6 and 9 with a line on top of it?
Very different than the number.
The number. So okay, so she was the treasurer for 20 years total. So she already made a good salary.
Yeah.
And they said she was for what they knew of her job. There, it was a very small town. They only had like the mayor and then maybe 4 people on the board. So, but they thought she did a good job with her reports and everything.
Yeah, she probably does a great job.
Yeah, and they said all of her reports were always. I'll have to get into it later, but let me just.
They
put-
always noticed that they never added up to the same number.
I'm gonna just blow you
Always
away with a number here because Rita Crundwell embezzled over $53.7 million.
That is insane.
When do you stop?
You
That is
don't
wild.
until you get caught. That is an insane amount of money.
I would probably stop at 52 million just to be safe knowing this story.
Well, so what happened? So that's the thing is, you're gonna embezzle, you get out. You do it and you get out, right? You disappear.
Is that one of the tips you looked up?
Maybe. But let's just put it into perspective for you. So she had this job. She already made $80K a year. But on top of that, she embezzled almost $54 million.
So the $80K was legit.
That was her salary. They thought she was independently wealthy because Rita was probably started out because of the money she started embezzling, but she became a horse breeder and show person. I don't know how much her home was actually worth, but it was like this huge six-bedroom house. I watched a whole thing on it. It was horribly decorated.
Was it MTV Cribs?
No, but it was covered. It was covered in
Rita Crundwell, and this is my crib.
It was all like Western tacky themed, and like there were horseshoes embedded in the tile. Illinois.
Oh, this was.
It was
Dixon,
like
Illinois?
7 acre property. All this stuff.
Dixon.
But she had this huge property. She had a lot of fancy cars, horse trailers, like huge horse trailers, fancy trucks, a $4 million mobile home.
That's hard to do.
Yes.
Mobile homes aren't that expensive.
No, this was
one
like
was.
this was a fucking land yacht.
It was a mobile mansion.
This was a mobile home with a basement, motherfucker.
That was Mordenkainen's magnificent mansion right there.
And she had by the time she was caught, she had over 400 horses.
Jesus.
So she was saddled with a lot of responsibility, let me tell you.
She's basically the wilderness.
That's too many horses.
I've had horses and
lot
they're
of
very,
horses.
very, very expensive. So the upkeep that she was a very avid.
Well, it's wholesale when you got that many horses.
Same thing with the balloons.
But she had horses. She had several horses worth over $100,000 each. I mean, she had very high quality show horses and
super nice horses.
Right. So she actually
They
won.
were very nice to pet.
I had to throw this number out there because she actually won 69 national championships.
The number! She was killing it, dude.
Whatever. So this lady was
knows what she's
living it
doing.
up. She was throwing parties.
That's when you stop, though, too. Like, she knows when to stop with the championships, but she doesn't know when to stop with the embezzlement.
Right.
Yeah.
Stops at 69.
Well, she was probably trying to get to 69 million.
Yeah,
That makes a lot of sense.
So
She
close.
almost had it.
All right.
Cheers.
So-
I'm going to give her a little round of applause for that one.
So close.
Like I said, early on, she was stealing small amounts. It started out pretty low at the beginning when she started. I think she first started actually stealing in, like, the late 80s, early 90s is when she first officially started embezzling.
Mm-hmm.
But towards the end, she was literally stealing the operating revenue of the city. How the fuck did she steal this money? Is that what the real question is?
That is the real question. How
Well, she fudged the
specifically
books,
did she
right,
steal this
somehow?
money?
Yeah, so they put her in control of everything. Nobody was checking her work. She was in bed with the firm that they hired to do the accounting for the bank. For the city. Okay? So they were also doing her personal taxes. She was on their softball team. She took them out to personal dinners, hung out
When
with
you're
them.
on the softball team. you
Wait,
know you're
so
in.
were her fellow
Americans?
conspirators,
They were never charged with anything.
were they making money as well?
I mean, the city was paying them money, like it was $1 million over however many years, like in fees for them to do the invoicing and all that. So yes, they were making money. So she was in with the accounting firm that was doing the accounting for the city. But how did she actually steal the money? She set up, so every city has something called like a municipal development or something like that account. So for like roads, projects and stuff like that. And how it normally works is the state will say, we'll give you X amount of money for the road. This fixer-upper, whatever. So they had that money coming in. They were putting money aside for different projects. Well, Rita set up a separate bank account, her personal bank account, a fake bank account, in which she would make up invoices from the state with fake projects that she would pay out to this account. And the bank never questioned it, and the accounting firm who did the auditing and also her personal taxes never
Hey,
questioned
so
it.
Rita, how's that new park development going? Oh, real good. Yeah, no problems. Don't worry
Looks
about
great. The monkey bars are fantastic.
it. You're really high. You should
No,
see
the city was in like shambles because they never got.
I was
anything
gonna
fixed.
say,
She
so
stole
like fun facts
everything.
about Dixon, Illinois, birthplace of Ronald Reagan, worst roads in America,
yeah.
Yeah.
no parks.
They got that one road where there's a crack in it that your whole car falls in it.
Yeah, you're gone. And all of a sudden, you're in the middle of the
I
earth.
listened to these.
All of it.
That's all the way
it's not
to
Hollow
the.
Earth.
on
I
the
listened to
court.
these interviews and it was like the road guy, whatever the service guy was saying that the only thing he would ever get out of Rita was tires. She would never buy a new truck. They couldn't get any money to fix any potholes.
Well, because it was going to her horses.
Right,
You gotta
and
feed
all
them
of her
something.
and all of her
They should have been taking the
reports.
horses to work.
Yeah, they
not the
can't
truck.
take horses. Can't take trucks.
All of the reports had
Doesn't make
cartoon
sense.
clip art of like guys pinching money. It's pretty great. You can go look at them. She was like,
solid.
"We don't have any money. We don't have any money." It's because she was
We're
taking it all.
moneyless.
So she eventually was
It's all
caught
horses.
because
no money, just horses.
one of the clerk, Rita was out at a horse show, wasn't there. Rita had to take over her duties. She couldn't figure out something, so she asked the bank to pull all the reports for the month. And the bank had some junior person working there, coincidentally, and they pulled everything, including Rita's fake account.
Oh, just trying to do their job,
Right.
and they're new, so they're trying to do a
Someone
good job.
was literally just trying to do a
Just
good
like,
job, and
oh,
that's how she got.
Oh, this is exactly what you yourself asked me to do? Sure, here's all your reports. Huh.
Yeah, so she
Nobody's
she
done
was
this
like,
for years here. This is crazy.
she was like, wait, where is all
the
this
bank
money
didn't have any
going?
paper because they didn't have any money for paper because she was in charge of the paper money.
She ran the town. She was basically the mayor in a way.
So the mayor calls the FBI. FBI gets involved. They actually had like a 6-month hiatus where the mayor and the clerk had to pretend not to know while they were building their case against her,
Oh my god.
Wow.
which is pretty crazy. But
They really pulled
lo
the
and
wool over
behold,
her
the
eyes.
accounting firm that was in charge of this was completely effing negligent. And I actually looked at the invoices, a real invoice from an estate versus a Rita
It
invoice.
sounds like you're actually working at work while you're trying not to work. Looking at invoices.
It was
She's
just
checking out some invoices, boss.
It's like, oh, she's working, right?
they didn't.
I mean, they're invoices for Dixon, Illinois.
And like horse feed and stuff.
They didn't look the same at all, and she misspelled the word section. Had somebody even looked at these?
SEX.
Yeah, she was like, section, baby.
Yeah.
And she's like, get it, the number.
There's no 6-9 in the word section.
Anyways, it was a bit much what she was doing.
Yeah.
Somebody finally caught her. I mean, it was just crazy. She was,
How old was she when she was caught?
I don't know, and she looked like she was probably in her 40s, early 50s.
Really?
Yeah, she was older.
How
So
many
now,
years total did she go on doing this?
20 years.
24
see,
years.
my question is, so
Wow.
when you get in trouble for like stealing stuff like that, like yeah, they take you to prison and stuff, but are you in charge of like reprimands? Like, I mean, not reprimand, restitutions?
No,
Okay,
everyone
so
gets
here's-
a horse that easy.
so here's what
Give them
happens.
out to the public.
So here's what happened.
Sorry, we have no roads. Take these horses.
She was charged.
You don't need horses. You don't need roads if you have horses.
Exactly.
She was charged and sentenced to 20 years in prison.
Yeah.
In a federal prison. So the
But does-
That's
state
really not that long.
the
considering
state
what she
actually
did.
dropped their charges because they decided it was going to be too much money. They're like, she's already in your prison for 20
You've
years.
cost us too much money
Yeah.
already. We're gonna just make you live with the horses.
So what happens, she actually had to sign over rights to her horses, and she agreed for them to be auctioned off. They auctioned off her property and her horses.
Straight to the glue factory, yeah?
Yeah, something like that. But
property
they
including
said
the mobile mansion.
everything. They recovered $12 million from her assets.
Wow.
Okay.
So that's
But
pretty
then
good.
they
That's
sued.
not
I
very
listened
close
to
to
a long
53.
talk from the guy who led the law firm that sued the accounting firm that was in charge of their audits for 20 years and never reported anything.
Sounds like hearsay.
They were required to pay $40 million in damages to the city of Dixon.
Oh, wow.
So they recovered all of the money.
Wow.
Well, good.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Dixon
for
has it, and
Dixon.
there was
Dixon's
a
doing good. The pencil factory's back online. They're doing great.
Their roads are paved in gold.
So
Yeah, they couldn't get the lumber to the pencil factory. They weren't spitting out pencils for a while there. It was bad.
the mayor was so cute because he's just like this kind of dumpy man. He's like, well, we were gonna just split up the 52 million among all the citizens, but we were responsible and we're gonna fix the road infrastructure.
And we gotta find a home for all those horses.
Everybody gets a free pencil every Tuesday.
Anyways, I was
Dixon
just
for that.
really, I don't know. This just came down to pure negligence, and I'm kind of mad that no one in the accounting firm was held like actually criminally responsible when you know they were probably being paid off. They had to have been.
Yeah.
Oh, sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah, there's no way that you do all of that stuff and don't.
Moral of the story is, if you're gonna embezzle money, large amounts, don't get involved into swapping horse semen for cash and being tied to 400 living animals that you need to provide for. You go to, like, Belize.
Yeah. Think about the animals. That's all I have to say.
Is this the first time you mentioned the horse semen?
Well, I gotta...
Yeah.
She's selling it, you know?
Was she doing that, or
She's
was she
sleep-
keeping it? What did she just storing it up?
They found, like, 400
The
gallons
mobile mansion
frozen
was
in the
just
mobile
a-
mansion.
Yeah, just a big old fridge.
Yeah.
There was a lot of it.
And then they inseminate some.
That was her fault.
They inseminated a female horse, and then it's like this giant horse just full of semen.
Oh my God.
Just joyful.
It's Ganon's
That
horse
is-
from Zelda.
Is foul. Is the word that I would describe that with.
Oh my god.
I don't like to think about that, but it's in my head now.
This episode's getting out of hand. It's time for a message.
Well, if you're gonna Crundwell, you better end well. Message from our
That's
sponsors.
what she said.
What do skin and lamps have in common? Besides Edging? Sex. That's right. Pure, unadulterated sex. At skinlamps.com, we combine beautiful hides with romantic mood lighting to create the perfect ambiance for your next sexual encounter. Each skin piece is hand-picked, locally sourced, moisturized, and unique just for you.
You know me. There's only two good things in life. That's skin lamps and sodomy. I'm Batman.
At skinlamps.com, we provide discreet delivery and have a 60-day money-back guarantee. You and your partner will love your new skin lamp. What are you waiting for? Let's get Illuminati.
Alright, what are you bringing up the rear?
I am bringing up the rear with none other than the story of John Lang. John Lang was an ex-Marine, meaning that once he was in the Marine Corps of the United States.
You are never not a Marine.
I
Fact.
guess that's
Once you're a Marine, you're always a Marine until you're dead.
true. So he was just a Marine that no longer did that job.
Yep.
And he lived in
I think that's
Fresno,
how you say it.
California. He actually was a longtime resident of Fresno, California.
Mm-hmm.
John Lang discovered that the Fresno Police Department was being untrustworthy. In 2015, he found out that they were running a license plate scam and that they would sit in parking lots of low-income neighborhoods and they would scan all of the license plates in those parking lots.
Oh, Jesus.
Until they found someone that had violations. They would wait for that person to leave the store and pull them over a couple blocks away. Well, he shared his findings with the local news site, the Fresno Bee.
Oh.
Which he also discovered was sharing private conversations with the Fresno Police Department. Why did he do that? I don't know, dude. That's literally what my notes say here.
Just reading the notes here.
He believed that in his conversations with the Fresno Bee, when he was sharing the information about the car scam, that they had somebody that traced his IP address and brought it back to his house, like making him the target for the Fresno Police Department, because he wanted it to be kind of, low-key, under wraps that he was giving him this information. He began to be harassed by the Fresno Police Department and put up a bunch of security cam videos that he had recorded from his home. And some of his popular videos include... These are not the actual titles. These are just what I called them after watching them. Suspicious truck stopping outside his home multiple times. 20-minute gap in video where he believed the PD hacked into his cameras.
Wait, gap in video or gaping video?
Gap in video.
Okay.
No, so he didn't have record of 20 minutes.
Yeah,
for
like
the
it
day.
shows the video with the time, and then it like flashes and it's a different time. Like 20 minutes later.
Suspicious.
And so he's like, "Oh, I'm getting hacked. They're coming right for me."
And
then-
I looked into this a little bit, and it's just like the evidence that they give for this case is just like there's like a couple
videos.
guys in suits. I mean, I don't think they're MIB, but
They're not.
they're just
There was
like
no Will Smith. I couldn't.
they're just like there's these guys. They're sitting in the car. They're looking around. Maybe a guy gets out of the car.
And then they go away.
He walks up 20 feet, ties his shoe, goes back to the car, They get in and they drive away.
Yeah, like literally from what I
Just
saw
like
the
random
videos,
shit
it
like
doesn't
that.
even look like people are actually oriented towards him or his home in any
But
way.
also,
Okay.
does it make sense? Like, why are these people
But-
attracted to this area to be creeping outside?
There was
right?
actually one pretty fucking suspicious one.
I'm-
and that was
I'm
the video
suspicious.
of these men that pulled up in a van, totally unmarked van, like literally just an old Dodge Caravan.
Not
just a van.
even Harry Carey's dog grooming services?
Didn't say a single word on the side. They pulled up and they opened the side door of this van and they have this like big ass camera set up,
Oh, I saw that one.
which he thought was thermal imaging equipment that was recording his home. And so after all of this, he filed a formal complaint about the harassment, about like these people
To
coming
who?
by.
the
Apparently to the
courts.
very same police that he didn't trust. I don't know.
Exactly, right?
Yeah.
That's really all you
stupid.
can report it to, I feel like. And
Or
that made the
the
whole
state.
police department aware of what was going on and brought what he thought was even more unwanted attention to his situation. So shortly after, his cameras caught a carpet cleaning van. And he's like, oh shit, this is the big one.
Yeah,
This
yeah.
is where it's bad. I don't know why that's what he decided was the bad one. But after that happened, he made a post predicting that he might go missing or the Fresno Police Department may try to kill him.
Either one or the other. There's no
Yeah.
in between.
Which is a pretty far-fetched thing until you find out that just a few days after making that post, he was found stabbed to death in his home that was burning down.
No, why are you guys ending with sad things?
They
No,
fucking stabbed
he
him
was
to death.
stabbed to death in the back.
That actually is very specific. He was, in fact, originally reported as stabbed in the back to death, but dying of asphyxiation from the smoke in his home that was burning to the ground.
What the fuck?
And the coroner turned around and said, oops, that was a mistake. He was actually stabbed in the chest. So,
The way that I
whether or
heard
not
it,
that was like a report that was wrong, like the guy was on a camera and said, oh, he's stabbed in the back, and then he's like, oh, my bad, he was actually stabbed in the chest, or whether they made this report, they went back on the report and they were like, oh, that was mistyped, he was clearly stabbed in the chest.
old
Who
fat
fucking
finger
knows?
did.
One guy at some point said he was stabbed in the back, and then it turned around that he was actually stabbed in the chest. Which is important because if you look back at his videos, kind of as we've already discussed,
Right.
a lot of them, like, he was clearly just being really paranoid and
But I'm
suspicious
fucking
about
paranoid.
things that he shouldn't have been
You know,
suspicious
like, I'm
about.
paranoid about what color Tony the Tiger's nose was, because my reality's different.
He was actually stabbed in the chest. It was corrected. I don't know where along the lines the mix-up happened.
Chest or the back, that's a pretty big mix-up.
But
No, I mean,
for
what's the
however
difference?
paranoid this guy
Nipples!
was,
2 nipples!
Are there nipples
It
on the
is-
back?
there's
That's the
nipples.
problem. He had 4 nipples.
they couldn't tell the difference.
2 nipples and a belly button, brah.
But however paranoid that he was, it's suspicious to a degree that there was that miscommunication from the coroner. Like, coroners don't really fuck that up.
I feel
that
like the
bad
coroner
very
might
often.
have bought a boat
Getting
in
stabbed
that
into
same
the back
time.
and getting stabbed in the front are two very
Is there
different things.
records of the coroner maybe acquiring a small yacht during that period?
He didn't get a small yacht, but he did get a mobile mansion and
a
a bunch of
basement.
horses. I don't know where.
Fuck, it's Rita Crundwell.
She's back again, boys. Well, so I went in and I watched all his videos and I checked a bunch of this shit out, and like I said, you know, he seemed to be paranoid and possibly afflicted with dementia.
Well,
But it
even
is
if he had
really
suffered a
weird.
mental illness, like, it doesn't matter.
It does matter. It really does matter.
No, it does matter, but not in the sense of he was fucking stabbed in the back 20 times.
Was it in the back or the front?
We don't know.
In the end, they said it was the front, but that's part of the whole weird thing about it. So, at first, you listen to it and you're like, oh man, the police department was after this guy. But then you actually go watch all his videos and you're like, nah, this guy's just paranoid. That's weird.
He's paranoid.
But then you think about it more and you're like, maybe him being paranoid is the cover-up to him not being paranoid. And that it's actually a conspiracy within a conspiracy.
So what's your final thought? Do you believe it was a conspiracy? Do you believe he was paranoid? Do you believe that the Fresno police was involved? What do you think?
Well, I'm just gonna debunk a couple things for you guys.
I'm gonna tell you what the Fresno
So you
police
can make a
fucking
decision
stabbed
yourself.
this guy.
They probably did. First thing, it's really weird if the cops actually killed this guy. The second thing is that the men in the van with the thermal imaging equipment that he identified, it was just a DSLR camera on a gimbal. You know, the thing that keeps it steady. Mm-hmm. And that was identified by Reddit, of all places. They put the video onto Reddit, and Reddit was like, nah, man, that's just a DSLR.
It was just a stabilizer, yeah.
I trust
it was
Reddit.
just a gimbal. I actually do, too.
They've got
I trust
butt
Reddit
Sharpies.
quite a bit.
It's fine.
The video debunking was released 1 month after the original coverage of the event. So, is this a conspiracy within a conspiracy?
What was the first coverage saying?
That was back in May of 2016. That was actually pretty close to after it happened. That's when it said that he was stabbed in the back. But then a month after that, the same guy who released the major video putting all of this evidence together, the top hit on YouTube, a month after releasing
he
that
got
video,
his life threatened,
he released another one saying, maybe this shit's not true.
I don't like
Which
that.
is kind of what made me think, like, maybe this is a conspiracy.
I don't like
a
that.
conspiracy. I don't really like it either.
I don't like anything in this
There's
world.
a lot of wishy-washy bullshit going on in this
It makes a
story.
lot of
Well-
sense that the reason why somebody said that he didn't get stabbed in his back was because that same person who said that didn't necessarily want to get stabbed in the back.
That's what I'm thinking.
I don't know. Conspiracy bullshit. I feel bad that he died, though.
I don't know. They could have fucked this guy over. I wouldn't be surprised. I'm not saying that the government fucks people over, but the government fucks
people
everyone over. Yeah.
Oh, and I paid for it.
I do too.
And you,
What a treat. I just paid
you
$300
listeners
today
paid
for
for it too.
Speaking of paying for it, here's our commercial.
Are you an arthropod, sponge, jellyfish, amphibian, or reptile? Well, do I have news for you. We have hair, and way too much of the stuff. It comes by the bushel, it comes by the barrel. Have it your way here at wehavehair.co.nz.
Time for some fast facts. In Russia, beer was not classified as alcohol until 2011. Before, it was just considered foodstuff as long as it was under 10%. Cashews contain the same poison as poison ivy and must be cooked before eaten to avoid reactions.
I gotta stop eating raw
Did you know
cashews.
that?
I actually didn't know that.
I just
You don't-
ate like 10 raw cashews today.
Yeah,
Jesus.
they're not really raw.
You've got
They're-
such a tolerance.
They're either steamed
You're like
or,
Wesley from The
or
Princess
baked.
Bride.
No,
Of some
I
sort.
picked them.
I picked them from my cashew tree.
There are only 24 people in human history that have left our magnetosphere.
I don't know what that means, but continue.
Our magnetosphere, you know?
It's the most outer layer.
The Wyoming Parks Department discovered an incredibly large petrified root system below Devil's Tower, 4 miles deep and 7 miles wide.
I've been there.
Me too.
Really?
Yeah.
I've never been there. Our fifth fast fact is that I got some purple drank socks for my birthday. And they're dope.
I bet you have a good girlfriend.
My girlfriend's number one. I got some purple drank
It's me.
socks on my birthday. And I was actually really disappointed that you weren't at work when I was wearing them, John.
I'm a little disappointed.
They're
but
great.
All right, let's
I
move
was
on.
shitting my brains out, I'll be honest with you.
On that note, let's move to our 3 additional search terms. Toblerone Holocaust.
Oof.
Jesus Christ.
Number 2, animals that smell like popcorn.
Oh, good pet ideas.
And
Good
number
pet
3,
ideas.
Sounds solid.
horse semen cost.
No.
You'll be surprised.
It's worth a lot.
It's worth a lot.
It
All
actually
right,
is worth
everybody.
a lot.
We appreciate you fucking
Putting up
hanging
with
around
that.
and our crazy ramblings. We had a lot of fun coming up with these stories for you, and we hope you stick around for the next episode. So, for me and Megan and John, have a good night. Thank you guys.
And stop watching other podcasts.
Don't
Just
watch any
watch
of them.
this.
Just
Yeah.
listen. Just
Throw your
listen to
phone
learn.
out the window.
Learn and listen at Clear History
Technicality.
Podcast.